Bevan Sweeney to take us through the card there. What have you seen and what do you make of the track, Bevan?
Very good morning, Jason. I was a bit surprised actually when I went and had a walk on the track conditions about half an hour ago. I thought it would be very, very wet here this afternoon, but it doesn't actually feel that bad underfoot. Look, they haven't had the rain that was forecast through the week, so it's probably quite a bit better than I expected with the forecast that was about when we were doing a little bit of form on Monday and Tuesday. So all in all, I think we're in a more positive position than I thought we would probably be, Jason, earlier on in the week.
Be a big watch, won't it, how the track plays and where jockeys want to bring their mounts with the rail in the true position and maybe a slightly better surface than anticipated, where they'll choose to come as the afternoon develops.
Yeah, I think the indications I had, I've spoken to Mark Buckley, who is the track manager here at Wanganui, and they galloped a horse this morning. It was a heavy 11 yesterday, and pretty much through there and the petrometer reading, they have gone to a heavy 10. He indicated that they didn't go in overly far in that track gallop with the rail back in the true position. I think that you'll probably find with the sort of inside position haven't been used for quite some period of time, that they will be close to the rail probably for a start, and then we'll get back to the old process here in Wanganui with riders trying to find that better ground out wider as we get deeper into the program. So maybe those good draws early, and then you're trying to find a horse that has got a draw that is appropriate to the way the track is playing later on in the afternoon.
Just after 3 o'clock, the first of 2 3-year-old features will jump. It's the O'Leary's Filly Stakes. And in terms of the market, early money was for Flaunting, but overnight the move has been for She's a Lady, including 2 $1,000 bets that have her now priced up at $3.20 from an opening quote of $4. So also a $9,000 bet on She's a Lady as well. That's trimmed her up even further. So big money for the Baker Forsman, daughter of Swiss Ace. Here is the Form Pro speed map with Miss Sweet Pea, She's a Lady and Trifolium, the expected pace, with Flaunting likely to get back. What did you make of this race, Bevan? How did you assess it?
Well, I assess that first and foremost there's probably a very good running of this particular race. I think in previous seasons we've had a couple of really smart horses at the top and not a lot in behind. I don't think it is quite that case here this afternoon, and you've got a fit horse in Flaunting against She's a Lady, who is fresh up, albeit a very smart horse who's looked good at the trials. So here is the most recent time that these two horses met. It was here at Wanganui, and this is just another piece to the puzzle when we look towards Riccarton with how many of these horses, 5 or 6 of these horses nom to go down to Riccarton. Now, She's a Lady was there in a striking position, and it does run a really good race. Flaunting, on just this occasion, you see the David Green colours bursting through in the centre of the racetrack to take this particular race out. But I've been taken with She's a Lady from the performance I most particularly saw at Awapuni, where, gee, she was dominant in a nice race on that occasion. Now, you like the Wanganui form, it does generally follow through, and I think it will again here this afternoon. Interesting runners in the race, really come out of the Fraser Allred team, and I also like one from the Larry and Cullen team here. This is the trial of Trifolium and Miss Sweet Pea. Now, she's a quick little thing, Trifolium, as she showed down at Riccarton, that being on better track conditions, but on this trial you'd think the big white blaze will be very prominent in the early part of this particular race, and she'll take some running down. She has been very good, and good rating races she has come out of. This trial suggests to me that she has come up again beautifully for Fraser this time, and it gives you a good guide around Miss Sweet Pea, really, doesn't it, on that particular trial. She seems a margin better than Miss Sweet Pea, and if she handles the track conditions, she will be a major player. Look, I'm very keen on She's a Lady in this particular race. The money has come now, and that's a big guide, but also her form lines in behind Flaunting here, and that run at Awapuni was very, very good. She's a quality filly going places, and so she is going to be the one on top for mine. Flaunting has that residual fitness on board. Where this preparation ends up for Flaunting, it's hard to really tell at this moment, but she is very, very fit, so she's in the mix as well. The placement in the race for me is the 7 here, Riva Capri for the Larry and Cullen team. team. A horse bred by JML Bloodstock, a filly by Atlante. I was really impressed with the performance at Hastings in behind call sign Mev, who was actually really unlucky going back through the tapes at Hastings, not to finish closer to Holy Mongol Emperor and the winner on that occasion, Germanicus. So I think the form lines will stack up there. You go back through the breeding, and Mum was very capable on a wet track condition herself, and it's the family of Style by Design who's shown an ability to get through wet track conditions. So I thought the $4 about Riva Capri was a nice price, and I think she is very progressive myself. And then Trifolium, she may just run them into the deck off a forward position. I'm not sure she's a horse that's going to stretch a lot further than the 1400 metres, but she is very quick, and if she handles these track conditions, she will give them something to chase. But I'm with the money here, Jason, and with the boys on the first call, yourself included, with She's a Lady. I think a very talented filly going forward.
Real big move there too, $4 into $3.20. Like the naming of the next race on the program that we're going to preview, the Take It Easy Tour. Sounds like a bit of fun. 2,040 metres, rating 72, where Nitro Ted has trimmed up from $4.20 into $3.80. And there is an expectation that Hard to Be Humble can run a better race if weight of money has anything to do with it. Very well supported at a $9 quote. Mediana Hudson will ride. Now, Bevan, race number 5, and look, maybe a horse like Love to Keep Him could feature early with a C Star. Who did you go for here?
Actually, my best selections actually came out of the race, Jason. I thought She's Extra might just bounce back out of a run at Otaki, which was really, really disappointing, but it was a very, very tricky track that occasion. So she's come out. Also, I was quite keen around Sweet Trade, who will go around in the next race on the program. So it left it a little bit open for mine, but look, Nitro Ted is a very happy horse at the present moment and racing in career best form as a 9-year-old, so he has impressed me. It was a nice race he took out last time, and he was dominant late in that race. He beat home Richard of York, who is a fair galloper on these wet track conditions, so I'd have to be steered towards him with a bit of weight off his back down to the 58 kilos. Outside of that, Heimlich Kid is a horse that has been on my radar for a period of time. I was actually quite keen last start. I thought a little bit disappointing, although it did go quite hard in the middle stages of that particular race. C Star handles the track conditions here. You've got Johnny Lincoln as a horse who can go fresh and has been freshened up by Lisa Latta. The one I wanted to have a little bit each way on in this particular race, Jason, is our Bandit. I think his price was a big over for mine at $21. He gets back up to a staying trip. Only had one attempt over that, and he wasn't that far away. He hasn't been going as good as we've seen, clearly through his early part of his career. But I just thought today this is the right type of race for our Bandit in 72 grade, and I'll give him a chance over a little bit of ground.
The next race that we'll preview on the Punters Lounge Live is for the Open Handicappers over 2,040 metres. The Liquorland Open Handicap race number 6. Charlie Horse, $2.20. Pretty even spread of money with Small Moves, Sweet Treat, $6.50 into a current price of $5.50. Zentangle, $10 into $9 and $11 early the tote. I didn't find this the easiest race. Bevan, you want more. I know that at her best that should be winning this race. I don't know what to make of her form, which has been very much in and out. And you've got Charlie Horse who's been doing it 3 from 4, but at what point does he reach his grade?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is a good question around Charlie's horse, because I had a couple of question marks that the horse would step up into 72 after sort of being a 65 horse when back in that grade would win. But he stepped up nicely into 72 and then went to 82 last time in a very tough testing track condition and won again. He's going to be on top, but I think his price is getting that little bit skinny. He has really developed this preparation for Stacey Dugan. Dylan Turner's been doing a nice job on this particular horse as well. So he's on top with not a lot of certainty. Look, I'll put in Dr. Watson because he's the sort of horse who probably fits this race really nicely. I know he's going back up to the 2040, but Sylvia's done all sorts of strange things with him and he's been well capable. Track conditions shouldn't be too bad for him. He's getting that 4 kilos off his back to 55.5, and I think that makes him competitive. He does race nicely here at Wanganui. I'm with you on You Want More. This horse on best form would win this race for sure, but the form's just been a little bit fair, and the couple of runs here at Wanganui haven't been overly strong going back through the form line, so there's just a question mark for mine, but clearly the most talented probably in this particular race. And look, Sweet Treat is the one, if you're going to map this race and say if they're positive with Sweet Treat, it's going to run them along quite nicely and does have good strong ability. It's got some nice form lines behind Lambrusco, Suleiman and others, albeit at Tarapa, which is a bit better ground than you'll strike here this afternoon, but that might be a little bit of a smoky further down the book. But look, Charlie Horseman in form, in the right sort of race, keeps on taking a step up, so although I won't be backing him at that sort of quote, it's hard not to put him on top.
Common phrase in sports and racing is a person or an animal in the zone. I don't think there's a horse in the country throughout the winter that's been more in the zone than Miss Lizzie. She's 5 from 6. She's $3 favourite for the Dave Hoskin Carriers Open Handicap over 1200. $3.80 King Cougar. Those two horses are the runners that the market wants to back, according to bookmakers. Show Me Where's at 4. There's also a little bit of specking for Grand Mason. Well, do you keep riding the train and go choo-choo and collect on Miss Lizzie swings, or do you jump off and try and find something else that'll take you places?
It's just a really interesting race for mine. Look, I had King Cougar on top for a couple of reasons. The blinkers are going on, and he's a horse that I think now really has to be made to do it, and I thought that was a really good booking with Troy Harris in the saddle on him. Troy is riding really, really nicely at the moment, but when you take out Henny and Jessie G, it just leaves Miss Lizzie out there in front, and she's coming back from the 13 to 1200 metres, which will probably suit her. She's sneaking up in the weights, but with the weight off the back again with Bridie aboard, she's still at a winnable sort of weight, and she was really tough last start. I thought Bridie actually went a little bit too hard on her, but she never threw it away, and she sort of lost that erratic racing mannerism, which has seen her really spend energy in the run early that really pays at the back end of the race. So I marked her a lot shorter than the $3 they put up, so that makes her as a bet for me in the race. King Cougar I marked the other way round, although I've got him on top. He's not probably an investment for me in the race. I think they will probably stand out, King Cougar and Miss Lizzie. I would not be surprised if Miss Lizzie just runs them into the deck in this small field with her on-speed pattern and the toughness she has shown. The only negative was, you go back and watch the most recent run here at Wanganui, which was down in the grades. It wasn't a bad effort, but she was beaten by Red Forest on that occasion, and Secret Squirrel ran second in that particular race, so maybe there's a little niggle about the form here at Wanganui in recent times, but the prior form here had been very, very good from Miss Lizzie. So I just thought, what did they put up early? 360 before scratchings came out. In my markets, that was a price that I thought was well takeable. I just thought King Cougar, we know his abilities, and he's probably, in my mind, a better horse than Miss Lizzie, but is he going as well as previous campaigns this time? And no, but I thought the booking of Troy Harris might just turn him around. The blinkers are going on, the noseband is going on, and there's money for him. So they both look good chances for mine. It's either way. If you get the right price on either horse that suits you, then I'd recommend you back them, because, yeah, I think they're the two clearly in this particular race.
Just before 4:30 will be the running of the HS Dyke Wanganui Guineas. So far heads the market at $2.90. Now was cleared by the vet to be sold to Hong Kong. At the moment that is pending that sale. That hasn't been transacted, and therefore Stephen Marsh is presenting Sci-Fi today. Now, he's happy that the horse is sound and well, no dramas there whatsoever, and that's why he is lining him up. Maybe his concern is that he's a gallop or a gallop and a half short of really being firing for this race, but that might still be good enough. And the money for Sci-Fi suggests that it will be. Cougadoon, though, the best backed overall, is into $4 with a $1,000 bet at $4.60. It seems that Lord Boozeron could lead this, and Sci-Fi will be right on its hammer here, Bevan. Cougadoon, Checkers and Blue Rata Elegius drawn wide, but you wouldn't think that it'd be a major disadvantage come race number 8.
No, it'll be no disadvantage at all to be drawn out by this point of the program. It was an interesting race to do form on, because Sci-Fi, obviously there was that sale pending, so we didn't really know if Sci-Fi was going around here, and whether that's had some implications with what exactly they've done with the horse, I suppose is a question mark we might try and find out throughout the day. But Tough little horse, isn't he, the colt by Rios? There's not much of so far, but the form here on this day last season was strong, and then although probably outpaced his tracks, got a little bit better, comes back to the races on these heavy track conditions and has won really nice in the last two and trialled up beautifully prior to that. It's had a nice trial coming in this afternoon. There's just a lot of factors that say so far at best would be winning this particular race. Who's emerging? Well, Cougar was a miss for me, actually, at its debut here at Wanganui. It was a horse that Jonathan had worked quite a bit out of Fraser's barn and had a really big rap on. Obviously, Jonathan was away at that point in time and didn't click, the rein cells didn't turn over, so he came to the races, he got headed and sort of kicked back the inside, but the last bit of his work was really good, and the second horse in that bubble gum came out and, albeit in maiden grade, beat the older horses at New Plymouth quite comfortably on Thursday, so his form does stack up nicely. His draw is probably going to be perfect here this afternoon. I did put in a phone call to Jonathan, who had worked him through the week, and he said that yeah, he felt pretty good underneath him. He's a horse that only does what he is asked to do, and he thought there was a few gears there to be let down, so he's a very talented horse going through the grades for sure. And he'll be fit enough. Fraser will have him certainly ready to go today, so he's in for second. Checkers, I listened to Andrew this morning. He thinks this is a really progressive type of horse. He's just very worried about these track conditions fresh up here this afternoon, but he thought he'd put in a good account of himself. And Rising Ransom is another one, maybe in the Cougar boat. I thought the fresh up run was good, or the debut run was good, and he really found the line strongly at Counties. He might be an upsetter chance in this particular race. If it was wetter than it is today, I'd say so far is a really good thing, just with what we saw at Otaki and what's been seen here prior. Cougar a question mark possibly as we get up into this sort of grade on what we saw at Wanganui, but he was so dominant. He's a really progressive gelding by McPhee, who's a chance maybe to not be here much longer. I do understand there has been an offer on the horse. Mr. ID has turned that down at this particular time. As Sam Spratt says, a very good morning. Good morning to you, Spratty, as well. A little bit chilly apparently, Jace.
Did she bring you a coffee?
Yeah. Tell her to get me a coffee, pup.
I need a coffee myself. Swens, just before we get your $100 strategy, there are very few whispers in the Central Districts that you don't hear. Race 2, Kasuda, big shortener from 17. What do we know about the daughter of Tavistock for her debut today?
Well, I missed the early price, Jason, but I noticed quickly and put in a phone call to Peter Didham, who was pretty upfront in his praise around this particular horse. Now, it's a horse that he bought with Mick Price. Mick Price, I understand, owns 20% of this particular filly with the other ownership group. They are pretty prominent in the CD with their horses, and it has been to the jump outs and won nicely there. He does think pretty highly of this particular horse. He did say to me, again, it's a little bit of a question mark with these heavy track conditions, but he did say to me he thought that she would be very hard to beat, and the money's just kept on coming. I think it'll keep on coming throughout the afternoon. Peter's brother-in-law, Robbie Hannum, does the riding on this particular horse, and he did mention, if good enough, this horse will more than likely head to Australia. It's nom for the Guineas. They think a fair bit of it, but again, on heavy sort of 10-track conditions, there are some question marks. But if you got on at 17, you're sitting pretty, aren't you, with the price that comes in at now. Into 950 yesterday pretty quickly, so yeah. Expect the run. If it doesn't win, you're still going to see a reasonable sort of filly going forward. My best bet on the program, I tried to find one early because you just get worried as the track deteriorates and they're trying to find parts of the track to get to, but I couldn't. So I'm going to go with Penelope Cruz as my best in the last on the program. She is very talented, this filly, but she just needs a little bit more racing to sort of sort everything out in her own mind, and she can be a difficult ride. Dylan Turner picked up the ride here this afternoon. She's the best horse in that race, so I'm going to go with her. I thought she stood out. My value bet is Chosen Peak. I thought a little bit forgotten around about 16s in this particular race. It was a horse who was going really nicely early on in its preparation. Been a little disappointing the last two without being terrible, and I thought with fitness in its legs, this horse really might pop up at a price. As far as a $100 strategy goes, I'm just going to stick with the ship and go She's a Lady in race number 4, 50 to win there, and I'll put 50 on Penelope Cruz in the last on the program. So either of those two win will be on a profit situation for the afternoon, JT.